All right, welcome to the regular meeting of the Park and Recreation Commission meeting of July 15th. The time is 6:04. And I invite Becky to call roll.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cabrales,
Here.
Commissioner Emerson. She is absent this evening. Commissioner Gutierrez.
Here.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Lauman. She has not joined us. Chair Machado.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Reisinger.
Here.
Thank you. And Commissioner Sandoval.
Here.
All right, great. Thank you.
I'll invite Becky to explain how the public can participate in this evening's agenda.
Good evening, everyone. Viewers are welcome to provide public comment through Zoom or by telephone at 669-900-9128. And the meeting ID is 946-03488-5912. If you are watching this meeting through Zoom, please select the participants button and select raise hand if you wish to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to speak, please press *9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified by the host inviting you to participate. You need to press *6 to unmute yourself by phone. Once you're unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments.
Are there any amendments to this evening's agenda? Thank you, Becky.
There are none.
There are none. Okay, so the first on the agenda, the first thing that we need to do is approve the regular meeting minutes of June 17th, 2021. Are there any questions from the commissioners in regards to the minutes from last month?
None.
Are there any comments from the public? All right. Seeing that there are none, I am looking for a motion to approve the minutes of last month.
I'll move. Commissioner Sandoval will move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Robert. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay. Becky, can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Cabrales,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Chair Machado,
Yes.
Commissioner Reisinger.
I feel like I need to abstain because I wasn't here, but they seem fine.
Thank you.
Actually, you don't need to abstain if you weren't there. It's fine to go ahead and vote.
Then I thank you.
And Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Minutes approved.
All right. Thank you very much, commissioners. Are there any introductions, awards, recognitions, or presentations?
There are none tonight.
Okay. Is there any public comment from the audience regarding items not listed on the agenda? And it doesn't seem-
Becky, is there anybody that is on the meeting that wants to speak on?
No, I do not see any raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we'll move on to our the next agenda item, which is to discuss the Sun Valley Park prohibited activities. So,
Thank you. So that would be me. I
Okay.
believe we've got a couple of participants that are on the meeting tonight that might be wanting to provide comment. But in the last few months, the city has received a couple of notifications and inquiries about dogs being off leash and being concerned with off leash dogs at Sun Valley Park, posing potential threat of possibly biting children or knocking young people down or even adults. So it's been a concern. For those of you who are familiar with Sun Valley Park, from what we've been told, people have had their dogs off leash for decades, and a lot of people think that it's allowed because it is so prevalent. So that's one of the issues that we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. And then the second issue that was raised is there is a very old wooden gazebo that is up on a higher tiered terrace in the back of the park all the way in the corner. And I'm going to bring up some pictures because I thought, in case you haven't been there, it might help to see a visual of what we're talking about. So let me see if we can bring those up right now. So the entrance of the park, the picture on the left is the lawn area, which is, as you're looking at the front entrance of the park, this lawn area is to the right of the playground. So it's adjacent. The second picture is as I kind of span to the left, you can see the normal picnic area that is fairly new. It's got 3 tables underneath it that seat, well, they're square tables and they have 4 benches each. So they can seat quite a few people. And right to the left, if you can see my cursor, right to the left of that is a stairway that leads right to the playground area. Let's see if I can advance this. Hopefully I can. Oh. So I'm trying to move my pictures out of the way. So where the arrow is the upper terrace area. This is from standing at the lawn and looking up towards the terrace area in the back corner of the park. As you can see, it kind of rolls up and then there's like a landing area up there. It's all basically dirt. But where that red arrow is what is the location of this wooden gazebo that is on the right. It's all wood structure, and in the middle of it, right in the middle of it, is a barbecue pit. Which is very interesting. I brought out our fire marshal as well as the director of public works to take a look at the structure. And quite honestly, they were surprised that anyone would ever put an open fire pit underneath an all wood structure. So it's somewhat of a fire hazard. So one of the concerns would be, even if the structure stays, that barbecue pit should be removed. But that is the gazebo area where there have been complaints about people participating or partaking of alcoholic beverages, smoking, and kind of partying late hours of the night, basically unwanted and prohibited behavior that is occurring up in that area. And then the next pictures, let's see. These are the adjacent neighbors. There's a couple of fences, and I only put a picture of one that had a gate, but there's actually 2 gates. The picture on the left is a gate that leads from behind the gazebo to someone's backyard. There's a lock it's hanging there, but it's not actively being utilized. So people can walk right into someone's backyard. We believe that the neighbors actually put that in at some point in the past. The picture on the right is adjacent to the gazebo area, and a lot of the partying and the activities that have been going on in late hours at the gazebo often retaliate or throw trash over this fence to the neighbor's yard. So they often find all kinds of stuff, beer cans, trash, etc., that's tossed in there. So the real concern is, and the ask from the neighborhood that we've received is, especially from the adjacent neighbors, is to remove the wooden picnic shelter. They feel that there is already picnic areas in the park that are in plain view, well utilized, and really the need for this gazebo does nothing but attract kind of a negative, kind of prohibited type of activities and nuisance. So those are the 2 issues that we are bringing to you tonight. Now we have received, like I said, information from the different neighbors and concerns about that, but we wanted to first bring this to your awareness and invite the public to share their feedback and comments. Tonight is not about making a decision about how to resolve it. It's really to talk about it first, and then if the commission feels that warrants additional investigation or wants staff to propose different options of resolving it, then we would proceed to gather more information and come back to you at your September meeting and invite the public at that point. So I can answer any questions right now before we take public comment.
Are there any questions from the commissioners in regards to this? I see Kat's raising her hand.
Thank you, Chair Machado. Just wondering, this specific space, is it in regards to other areas in other parks? Because I mean, this issue is prevalent in all of our park spaces. Is it 5% worse, 10% worse, 30% worse? Just wondering on the scale compared to all the other facilities and amenities, how it ranks, if you will? Or is it just the squeaky wheel of the neighbors that are complaining?
So that's a great question. Dogs off leash is a pretty common occurrence in all of our parks. To what degree, obviously different neighbors have reported. To be quite frank, we've never received a call, at least I haven't received any calls from any other parks with dogs off leash. That doesn't mean they don't occur. But we have received calls from the Sun Valley neighborhood on multiple occasions over the last couple of years about enforcement and, what the city can do to prohibit people from having dogs off leash. When we have spoken to residents of that area and people that obviously are on city council that are from that area, they said that dogs off leash have been kind of in existence for decades there, and it's pretty prevalent. So to answer your question, it happens everywhere. This is the one location that has been brought up, and it seems to be very prevalent. It's not an occasional dog off leash. It's a little bit more than that, that we've been told. I've never observed it. Every time I go by, Kat, I got to be honest, there's no dogs off leash, but I'm going during daytime, and there's nobody at the gazebo because I'm going during daytime. I'm not going at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday or something like that. So.
And I'm sorry, that was good information, and I'm sorry if I was unclear. Is the issue more of the dogs off leash right now, or the gazebo, fire pit, drinking, bottles over the fence issue? Because those seem like two separate items, and having, being a lapse homer, I see the dogs off leash at the Carolina Park all the time. So I totally get that that's prevalent everywhere.
Yeah, they're of equal merit. We've received a couple calls from the adjacent neighbors because they're concerned the gazebo poses a fire threat, and they're tired of the trash being thrown over, knowing that the only thing that's happening in that area really is negative behavior. The dogs off leash is a completely different issue that's been raised by a few people over the last couple of years. It is important to note, I did contact PD and fire just out of curiosity to see how many calls for service they've received in the last 3 years. And there's been only one call for service in regards to dogs. And that was a suspected dog biting another person. And that was received by fire. And there have been only one other call in regards to the gazebo. Again, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It might be that people just assume that there's nothing that they can do, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't realize dogs off leash is actually prohibited. So they don't often call it in.
I have
I
a quick
think-
question. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, did someone?
Yeah, I thought Commissioner Lauman had her hand up.
Go for it.
first.
Thank you. I was just asking, I think you sort of answered it, but regarding the people using the gazebo after hours, et cetera, is that a long-term ongoing issue, or is that sort of a relatively new thing?
From what I understand, people using it to enjoy alcoholic beverages and smoke, all kinds of things has been going on for a long time. It's kind of a known spot to go hang out in after hours. As you can imagine, it's a pretty attractive nuisance. The location of it, today, if we were to master plan a park, we would never ever recommend putting any kind of amenity in the back corner of a park, which cannot be seen from any other portion of the park. So.
All right, Commissioner Cabrales.
Are there signs up about the dogs? I know that I hadn't ever seen a sign, and then all of a sudden a sign appeared in my local park, and I'm wondering, did those signs go up all around just recently, or what's the known rules for that?
Yeah, so our parks have a variety of different park ordinance signs up. Sometimes they have the generic ones that say no dogs off leash, no alcohol, no smoking, basic stuff like that. And every once in a while they have something very specific about the park that it only pertains to that area. But there are dogs off leash signs that have been installed this past year because of the complaints. And honestly, it was, we were told that as Department of Public Works staff was installing them, there was a neighbor taking them down. So There are, this is a very divided issue. There are people that enjoy taking their dogs off leash to that park, and there are people that are very concerned about health and safety. Obviously, it's a small park, and I think that's part of the concern. The open space lawn is the only area really to play. It's not a large park where you can really segregate an area. So when the dogs are off leash, pretty much in order to enjoy the turf, you are cohabitating, right? It's not like there's two sections of grass areas.
Any other comments by the commissioners?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you want just questions right now or comments from commissioners?
At this point,
Susan?
I would prefer to have questions asked just to make sure
Okay.
everybody understands the situation, because
Okay.
then what we'll do invite public feedback, and maybe some of the public can share some of their experiences with you. Again, we're not looking for you to make a decision tonight
Right.
about what to do. It's really to hear the public, to give them a venue to express themselves, and then to hear what the commission would like staff to further explore as far as options to resolve either one or both.
So my only question then is, I also noticed on the agenda packet, there was talk of sort of this pilot program. Did you want to tell us a little bit more about what that might look like now,
Sure.
or is that a later conversation?
Sure, I'd be glad to give you a little bit of
Okay.
information. So there's a couple of things. So let's talk about the gazebo. There's two ways to deal with that. There's to put more signs up there that what is not allowed. But there's the second option is to remove the gazebo, since there is already amenity there that serves and supports the public's needs. So that's kind of straightforward. The second item, the dogs off leash, it really comes down to signage and enforcement. It's prohibited by Muni Code, except for those areas where the city either designates that there's an off leash dog park or off leash dog areas. We do not have either. The city does not have a city-owned off-leash dog park. The county does, as you're probably familiar, over by the Civic Center site. So one of the programs that was actually mentioned by one of the neighbors of Sun Valley Park was that they had observed that at the city of Petaluma, they have established 25 years ago off-leash dog areas at a variety of their parks. And how they've done it is basically there's signs, and it says you can have your dog off leash during specific hours only. I did talk to a couple of staff at the city of Petaluma to find out how successful it has been. Honestly, after 25 years, they expanded it to include more parks, so one would assume it's been somewhat successful. It doesn't necessarily, their comments to me was, it doesn't necessarily mean that people still don't have dogs off leash outside of those areas. But it does give a way of balancing the needs of both dog owners and people who want to come to the park when dogs are not supposed to be off leash. The only other concern is waste and people picking up after their dogs. And, honestly, that's kind of excuse the term, it's a mixed bag, because there are plenty of people that do not pick up after their dogs in even off leash dog areas, or just when they're walking down the street. So compliance is still kind of, up in the air on whether or not that actually results in something. And Steve Mason lives up in the city of Petaluma and had the opportunity to go up there and take some pictures. Unfortunately, when he went up there during the hours that they were posted, it was pretty dark, so there weren't a lot of dogs off leash, if any. But that is a program that, if this was something that the commission wanted to consider, then our recommendation would be to go notice the neighbors, go meet with the neighbors to get some feedback, bring back the recommendation of a pilot program at Sun Valley Park for you to consider in September. Notice the public that is within, 300 feet of Sun Valley Park, so they can participate in that meeting to make sure they have a voice as to whether or not they would, support having a pilot program in their park. And a pilot program really is at least 6 months. You'd really want to do something in 6 months, and you'd probably want to do it during daylight savings time to really measure the impact to see if it actually helps or it doesn't. But it would be a pilot program. If we were to do something like that, it would be a pilot program to measure the success or the failure of it.
Are there any other questions from commissioners in regards to this matter? Seeing none, I will open this up to the public for comment. And Becky, can you explain to the public how they can participate?
Yeah, it looks like it looks like everyone is signed in through Zoom. However, if you do wish to speak, please click the raised hand button. If you're participating by telephone and wish to speak, please press *9. And when it is your turn to speak, you will be notified by the host inviting you to participate. You will need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you are unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. And right now we have, it looks like IRT 2020 who has their first raised hand, and I will get our timer started here and go ahead and unmute them. All right.
I
There you
believe
go.
I believe that's me. That must be my company
Oh,
identifier. I'm like, that's the stock ticker sign for my company. So hi everyone, and Director Susan and everyone else. Thank you for including me on this. My name's Liz Musser, and I'm actually one of the residents that lives. There are about 4 of us that have closest proximity to the gazebo. Literally our homes sort of butt up into where the gazebo is. And so I just wanted to make sure that I contributed, positively to this conversation. The gazebo, to be honest, has been a real challenge for many years. It has become known as a place with middle school, high school, and even the homeless community as a place that's sort of sequestered and hidden to either just plain hang out late at night after the park is officially closed, to smoke pot. It's a pretty regular occurrence there, to be honest, like weekly, especially on weekends in the summer, and for drinking. So I've never taken any videos. I've been tempted to, but I want to protect the privacy of the high school kids and everyone that goes there. But one of my next door neighbors, for example, is in high school right now. And I had a conversation with her about it. She's like, yeah, Liz, totally. It now has developed a reputation. That's where these kids go. Director Susan, I know you mentioned phone calls to the San Rafael Police Department. You said 1. I just can't imagine that's the case. I know that personally, I have called many times. In the summer, there were times when I was calling once a week, like, just please, can you go over there and don't arrest anyone, but can you just send these kids home? Because it's loud. And so you can't sleep. And I know my neighbors have called. So, I'm not sure what their reporting structure is, but sadly, I can say I've called a lot of times. My biggest concern is twofold. It's just the safety for the community. There's a lot of the homes that do abut the park. There are a lot of small children, and you can look in and see these kids drinking, smoking, and see the people from the homeless community go in there and do what they do. And it's just not a safe environment for families and kids. Sadly, my home's been vandalized from the park. About a month ago, I had someone throw a rock from that gazebo area into my upstairs window, and they broke and shattered the whole thing. I wasn't able to catch who it was, but it happens regularly.
Okay. Your 3 minutes is up. I thank you very much for your contribution, and you living so close. It's important for us to hear what the neighbors have to say. So thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All righty, Becky. We got someone else.
yeah, we have next Susanna Clark, and I'll go ahead and allow you to go ahead and speak, and I'll get the timer going here for you as well. Okay, go ahead, Susanna.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, commissioners, for considering what's going on at the park. I'm a 21-year resident of Sun Valley, a dog owner. I don't know what I'd do without my dog, and I certainly don't know what I would have done without the park during the last year and a half of isolation. It provided a real sense of community for all of us. And the time that I use the park is between 7 and 9:30 in the morning, and possibly between 5 and 7 in the evening during the summer hours. There are very seldom are there families with children in the lawn area of the park during those hours. If there are kids there, they're in the play area or they're with nannies or moms up in the covered area. The only time we've seen any kind of interaction between dogs and kids is maybe an irresponsible dog owner who doesn't respect the fact that, you know, a child could be knocked over. It's just, I really recommend that you consider and find out as much as you can about how the timeshare is working in other communities. I think San Anselmo has that at Memorial Park as well. I think it's a great idea. I think it gives everybody a sense of what to expect when they go to the park. It gives the families a chance to be there when they won't have as many dogs around. And it gives the dog owners a chance to be there and have a social life and allow their dogs to have a social life. It's really the only place around that we can go, certainly in San Rafael. And it's a real community park. I don't know. I mean, it's one of the reasons why people move to this area. So thank you very much. And one thing is there was no notice posted at the park about this meeting tonight. And maybe this is not the meeting where things are going to be decided, but it is a time for you to hear from the community. And it is a time for people to get their thoughts and opinions out to you before you go too far down the road in making a decision. So I would have really hoped to have seen some kind of a notice posted at the park that this meeting was taking place, because you did ask for public opinion tonight, public comment, and only a few people may. I don't know how many people are online, but I would strongly recommend that when you do this in the future, that you do provide notice to the park that they're on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Becky, are there more participants?
Yeah, we have a couple more. Next will be Tracy. And I will get the timer ready here for 3 minutes. And okay, Tracy, you are good to go with your comments.
Hi, thanks so much. I'll be quick. I live about 4 houses down from Sun Valley Park for 17 years. And I just want to second what's been said. First of all, the gazebo back there, I have no idea how that could be used for something positive. And I've seen the groups of kids going up there. And so I think it's a great idea to take it down if that's at all possible. I do own a small dog that I sometimes go in the morning, but what I love is that it's just as Susanna said that it's just a great social time for dogs and people. So if we could make it work, like I agree with her. I haven't really seen, every once in a while we'll get an owner that is like, I can see is not really looking out for the people, the kids or whatever, but almost I'd say 99% are just super responsible. And I think if they knew, hey, us having this time is really dependent on you all behaving, we'll continue, we've done a pretty good job of telling owners that, hey, you need to rein your dog in, because we all want to enjoy this park. So I think I'd really hope that the importance of the people that live nearby being able to bring their dog and let them run around a little bit, as long as we're respecting other people who are there, especially kids, but anyone who's there, it would just be a great gift to all of us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
And before we lose everybody, I know there's a couple more people on here. If I think they have the opportunity to include, an email if they would like in the chat, or send it to me. My email address is available on the city's website, so, or my phone number, so you can call me and leave me your email address so you can continue to get notified.
All right, Becky, is there?
Yes, we do. Next, we have Jody. I will go ahead and allow you to speak here, Jody, and I'll go ahead and start the timer for you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for holding this meeting and for giving us a voice to participate. I was born and raised in this neighborhood, so I've been here for 60 years, and I've been going to that park with my dog my whole life, with the exception of about 10 years when I lived in Petaluma. And in Petaluma, I went to this park that had hours posted for dogs, where you could bring your dog between, it was in the morning, a certain amount of time, and then again in the evening. It's a big park. It's was shared also with several local baseball teams and little leagues and soccer, and it worked beautifully. Never any incidents as long as I could see. And so I highly recommend if we could try something like that at Sun Valley, would be just great. I agree with Susanna and the other participant in that it's a real sense of community in this neighborhood to be able to go to the park in the morning with your dog and meet your neighbor. And I agree that 99% of us are real responsible. In fact, we pick up the poop of other dog owners who leave their poop there, and we go around and pick up trash. And, on Monday mornings when we come in and we go there early in the mornings, if there have been parties there on the weekends with adults or kids or whoever, I've seen a lot of trash left at that park just by neighbors and families. And all of us as dog owners, we take pride in that park, and we really enjoy it, and we pick up poop and trash, and we're very considerate, with the exception of, now and then maybe an irresponsible dog owner that we try to rein in. So anyway, I appreciate that you're considering this. I hope you do consider it. For me personally, I never go to the park on the weekends or in the evenings after school, because if I see a lot of kids and families, I respect them, and I just walk my dog on leash in the neighborhood, and I prefer that they enjoy the park. And I think most of us, are pretty respectful that way. So thanks for letting me share. And all in all, it's a really, really great neighborhood. It'd be great if we could work this out all so that everybody can have a chance to enjoy the open space there and be together. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And are there any more participants, Becky?
Yes, we do have one more.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and this will be Jim Rubin. All right, timer just ended here. Let me get the timer set, Jim, and you are ready to go.
Great, thanks. My name is Jim Rubin. I'm actually the head of the Sun Valley Neighborhood Association. So I was working with Susan and Eli Hill also to just get the word out about this meeting. And I mostly just want to express what I kind of want to be here to express the feedback of the people I talked to and ones who couldn't come. There was a lot of enthusiasm for the off leash at certain times program, and dog owners and families both seem to think it's a great idea. I just wanted you to know that. And it seemed like everything that was expressed here is like 98, 99% of the dog owners manage their dogs really well. There's always a few, but they felt like the people who are having their dogs in the park are different than the times when the kids are there, and everyone thought this was a great idea. There was one person who was concerned about, letting dogs off leash. They're already concerned about them. So I did want to express that. And then on the gazebo, there was just very little comment other than there were two folks. One just said, don't take it down, move it to the move it to the more general area because it's a nice building. Which actually it is, it's pretty cool. And then one who thought this isn't going to help at all. Other than that, we didn't hear much, and I kind of expected that's how that would be. Usually when I asked people about the gazebo, they said some version of what gazebo. So that's kind of the pulse of the neighborhood. We got an email out to certainly 300 people. So people knew about this meeting. So thanks, and thanks for putting this together.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Becky, is there anybody else out there?
No, Jim was the last participant in the audience. Thank you.
I want to thank all the participants for showing up and making your voice heard. We do appreciate it. Commissioners, are there any more comments to be made in regards or to anything that the public has said? I know, Ariel, you live very close. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I also thank the participants, and I think they're really spot on from my experience. To the gazebo, I know I was just talking to friends this weekend who live right on the park side, not right by the gazebo, but just below, and they've had kids, rattling their fence, and they told me that kids have been throwing rocks at the windows of their neighbors. That's a problem. I mean, that's to me that feels, and there's a lot of little kids over there. I don't know if removing the gazebo solves it, but I think it's sort of teenagers like to find small hidden places. So I don't think it's crazy to assume that if it's no longer hidden as much that they wouldn't be there. We don't let our kids play in that gazebo because there's always lots of dangerous little things on the ground. My experience with the dogs is, I've seen dogs bite kids there. So there are bad owners. There's a lot of good ones. I'm really interested in this pilot or this idea of shared space and hours where dogs can be off leash so that families know to stay away, especially if their kids are afraid of dogs. And there's a lot of kids who are afraid of dogs. And so they basically can't come to the park ever because they don't know when there's going to be bad dogs there. So my feedback echoes Jim's, is to say that I think that there's something there that could possibly, people like to know what to expect. So if you can expect that those are on leash or off leash hours, you'd be more willing to or more comfortable going. But as Susan said, it's down to enforcement. And I don't know, obviously it's not actually currently an off leash park, and yet people are there every single day with dogs running around. They steal our soccer balls. It's not perfect. There's a reason they're getting calls. And so I would think that some action would be advisable. And this sounds like an opportunity to try some. So thank you.
All right. Anybody else? So I just have one thing to say. My kids are grown, but we live in the West End, and my kids went to Sun Valley Elementary School, and we used to go to the park a lot. There were times when we would be playing in the grass, and your kid would slide on the grass, and he would come up smelling really bad, right? Because there was poop around, and I'm glad to hear that the responsible dog owners are out there picking up stuff. But we just decided not to go back there because it was just we didn't want to have to deal with that. So we just went over to the schoolyard and played over there. So I think that there can be. I don't think it's because it is small, right? So if you're playing catch, or you're right in the midst of the dogs out there. So anyhow, that's just my comment. So
Can I have one more comment, Mark, just really quickly?
Mhm.
I just want to also, I am there a lot a lot of the dog owners are not local. Everyone, there was a lot of comments about it being a community gathering spot. I don't know how far they're driving from, but on any given day when you're sitting there, there's at least a car every 20 minutes where someone drives up and gets their dog out, and they're using it as a remote dog park. They're getting in the car to go there. It's not all neighbors. And so I don't know if a program like this would increase that. Welcome. Now we have off leash hours. I don't know, but I just wanted to share that.
All right. Thank you very much, public, and thank you very much to the commissioners for chiming in on this. I will ask for a motion to accept the Sun Valley Park Prohibited Activities Report.
Can I ask Chair Machado if there is any further action that you want staff to take?
I think, hold on a sec. Commissioner Lauman, did you have something to say? No? What are we thinking, Susan? I think that I do feel that, I mean, this is the pilot program that you're looking into in regards to what's going on in Petaluma. I think that's something to look at. I think that we need to get some eyes out there during the times where where there's an issue. And do we know what those times are? Commissioner Reisinger?
No, I just wanted to say that I'm in support of trying the hours of dogs off leash or not, because there will be some signage posted, which is some signage posted, which means if someone does make a call to the police or does make a call to someone, there's something to refer back to. We're dealing with a large issue of just, there's not any signage. So it's hard to refer to people. So I'm in favor of at least giving it a shot.
Okay. Susan?
Yes, so if the commission will oblige us, what I would recommend is that we bring this item back to you with a variety of recommendations and options for each of the situations, because they are different, and present that to you, and obviously notice the neighborhood even more than what we have done previously to invite them to the September meeting. And we can take a look at making a recommendation to implement a pilot program with some alternate options that the commission can choose which one they feel most comfortable with based on the feedback that they receive at that meeting. Same with the gazebo. One of the elements I did not mention about the gazebo is it is, again, I did mention this part, it is an all wood structure, but it is extremely close to the hillside. And the backyards are highly wooded and vegetated. So the location of where this gazebo is a fire hazard. And like I said, the barbecue, the fire marshal said the barbecue should come out regardless of what we do with the gazebo, because it literally is an open fire pit underneath an all wood structure. So we can make those recommendations and bring them back to you in September. I'd probably separate them so you can weigh in each one separately. If the commission is okay with that, that's what I'll move forward with.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you. Okay.
So if we could just have a motion to accept the report, then we will, or whatever motion you'd like, if you'd like to direct staff to bring back this information regarding these two items for the commission to consider further in September, that would be the motion.
I would like to get a motion from one of the commissioners in regards to what the director just stated.
I will move to have the department bring back this issue to the September meeting for our review.
And may I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you very much. Becky, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Cabrales,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lauman,
Yes.
Chair Machado,
Yes.
Commissioner Reisinger,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And also, before we bring it back, if we're going out to the site, I can schedule a meeting time for us to go out there if you'd like to tour the site, so you visually can walk it and understand kind of where things are. If that's helpful to you, I can propose some times for that.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is the review of the exhibition guidelines and agreement forms. Who's up for that?
So Catherine, you want to introduce staff?
Sure, yeah. So we have Darcy Chalou, our interim program coordinator up at Falkirk. So these guidelines primarily or pretty much only apply up at Falkirk, where we do have art exhibits regularly. So I will turn it over to Darcy to tell you a little bit about the art exhibits at Falkirk and these new guidelines that staff have drafted to help kind of guide that program.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Darcy.
Let me share my screen for you. Okay, everybody see that okay? All right, my name is Darcy Chalou. I'm the interim program coordinator for the Falkirk Cultural Center. For those of you that don't know, the Falkirk Cultural Center is a California Victorian mansion located in Santa Fe, built on 11 acres and has a total of 17 rooms on 3 floors. The buildings and grounds are used for tours, receptions, weddings, art exhibits, and meetings. In a normal year, Falkirk hosts 5 to 6 galleries per year. Last year was a bit different, but we were able to organize 5 virtual exhibits, and 3 of those 5 we were able to have in person. The exhibits hosted at Falkirk are categorized into 2 different types. The first type are exhibits offered by outside organizations, such as the California Watercolor Association and Marin Open Studios. The second type are co-sponsored exhibits, such as our Terra Linda Ceramics Group and juried shows. Both exhibits abide by the same guidelines, but when we have co-sponsored events, the city will take on the organizer responsibilities as well as the city responsibilities. In organizing shows last year and this year, we quickly realized that the city did not currently have a policy or standard agreement that provides a full overview of the process, responsibilities, and requirements for organizations that are interested in hosting an exhibit at Falkirk. Currently, our only formal agreement between both parties is a loan agreement. The loan agreement is between the city and the artists loaning their work and is beneficial to ensure each piece is accounted for and signed off on. However, the city doesn't have a formalized document between the city and the exhibit organizer to outline all the terms and responsibilities prior to the exhibit being accepted. Recognizing this gap, the city began the process of developing a formal policy and agreement templates. With formal guidelines in place, both the exhibitor organizers and staff will be able to clearly understand the responsibilities of each party and terms of their exhibition prior to submitting a proposal. The updated agreements and requirements will also protect both the city and the exhibit organizers in terms of potential loss, liability, and damage incurred through the exhibit. The first proposed guidelines are the exhibition guidelines. These guidelines give an overview of the facility and amenities at Falkirk, including instructions on the application process for those interested in hosting an exhibit at Falkirk, exhibit requirements that the city uses when selecting exhibits to allow at Falkirk, responsibilities of both the exhibitor and the city, including marketing, installation and de-installation, opening and closing receptions, and awards. Lastly, the exhibit terms and conditions, including insurance and liability, sales and commission, safety and facility usage, damage, publicity, and more. The second proposal is the exhibit organizer agreement. After an outside organizer has applied and been selected to host at the exhibit at Falkirk, the exhibitor agreement specifies the terms and responsibilities of the organizer and the city. The terms mirror those in the exhibition guidelines, but also give both parties the ability to sign the agreement and solidify exhibition display dates. The last form is the loan agreement. There is currently a loan agreement in place, so our changes to this form were minimal and now reflect the proposed terms and conditions from the exhibition guidelines and exhibitor agreement. This agreement is signed by every exhibitor that has artwork at either a co-sponsored exhibit or exhibit put on by an outside agency. Thank you for taking the time to review the proposed Falkirk exhibition guidelines, exhibit organizer agreement, and loan agreement. We feel they will make the process of exhibiting at Falkirk easier for exhibitors and city staff. Are there any comments or questions?
Commissioners, are there any questions for Darcy? Nothing. Commissioner Lauman.
I'm just curious, could you tell me were there any issues that were arising out of not having any guidelines, or what was the purpose of initiating the new guidelines?
The biggest need was that we didn't have a formal signing process when we accepted an exhibitor to define our display dates and what was the responsibilities of them versus the city.
Yeah, so I think each time we had someone approach us, it was kind of like starting from scratch with a whole new conversation and trying to remember, what did we do last time? Trying to be consistent across, what we provide to different exhibitors versus what's expected of them, and trying to be transparent with that. We would have people coming with a lot of questions, and we would have to try and figure it out as we went along. And so we just realized we're hearing the same things, we're getting the same questions, we're struggling with the same issues. It'd be good to just have something standard that's easily accessible, that people can see and is transparent, and they know what they're getting into. And staff also know. I think, part of this came up when our recreation supervisor, Ashley Howe, left and Darcy stepped in. We realized that we lost a lot of institutional knowledge there. So trying to capture that so that it's not staff dependent to remember exactly what's happened before.
And it's also quite common in municipal galleries as well as private galleries to have exhibition guidelines and to have that available on the website. So people do know that we do exhibit and what are the terms of those agreements.
Anything else from the commissioners? Well, I think that it's great. I think it makes it to formalize all this, and that staff has a place to go to not have to rewrite everything every time someone wants to do an exhibit. So the recommended action says here that the commission provide feedback and approve exhibition guidelines, exhibitor agreement, loan agreement, and forms to host art exhibitions at the Falkirk Cultural Center. Susan, is there anything that we need to formalize here in regards to a motion?
It does look like we have someone in the audience, so I don't know if we want to give an option for public comment.
Yeah, if there is, if there's someone in the audience that wants to make public comment, you are welcome to do so. Becky?
Yes, so if you are watching this meeting through Zoom, please select the participants button and select the raise hand if you wish to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to speak, please press *9 at this time, and you will be notified by the host inviting you to participate. And I do see a hand here.
All right.
So I will get the timer ready and we'll go ahead. And okay, so Diane, you will have 3 minutes once we get you going, and you go ahead and speak now. The timer is going.
Hi, I'm sorry, but I joined late. I thought the meeting started at 7. And I wanted to comment about something you've probably already talked about, the Sun Valley Park dog situation. Did you already talk about that?
We already spoke about that, but we can put you on the record, Diane.
Okay, I didn't get to hear what was said, but I just want to go on the record to say that I am a dog owner. I've had kids out there, for years too. And I was told that you guys were talking about, getting off-leash dog hours, and I wanted to come out in support of that, as well as, a huge amount of people in the neighborhood that I've talked to. We don't want to break the law, but we think that we can all work together. So I'd love to talk to someone further about, creating those hours. That's all I really got to say.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
No
And
problem.
Diane, just before you leave, just make sure you understand, no decision was made tonight. The commission has directed staff to go get more information regarding the gazebo and also the proposed idea of having a pilot program for off-leash dog areas. So the next time that the commission will be hearing that information will be their September meeting. I believe it's September 16th. And it'll be at 6 p.m. Most likely it'll be in person at the San Rafael Community Center.
Great. Well, I just want to offer, if there's any way that you need any kind of help gathering information, I'd be happy to help you out. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. All right. All right. So, excuse me, Susan, I was asking if there was a motion to be made for this.
Yes, that would be great. So if the commission feels favorably and that they want to support the proposal in regards to the guidelines and the forms, then we would love to have the commission entertain a motion accepting them.
Okay. From the commissioners, may I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to pass the guidelines.
And may I have a second?
I can second, Stacy.
Commissioner Laumann seconds. Okay. Becky, can you do the roll call, please?
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Cabrales,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Laumann,
Yes.
Chair Machado,
Yes.
Commissioner Reisinger,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you, Darcy. Okay, so the next piece on our agenda is to discuss the proposed revisions to the Albert J. Borough Community Center community use policy. And I see we've got Steve Mason here. And I would imagine Steve's the guy for this, right? So
He is the guy.
you are on.
Hello, Chair Machado and commissioners. Thank you for having us here this evening. Staff is asking that the Park and Recreation Commission discuss proposed revisions to the Albert J. Borough Community Center use policy and recommend that the policy be approved by City Council. Catherine for this evening has prepared a PowerPoint, and together we are going to share a little background and where we hope to go with this policy. So if we can go to slide 2. So back in 1997, the City Council first approved policy changes that allowed for increased community use of the then Pickleweed Community Center for little or no charge. In 2006, to coincide with the opening of the newly renovated community center, the community use policy was updated to allow for balanced and equitable provision of space. Our rental rates were also set at about half of those of the other community centers so that local residents and program providers could afford to use the center. Slide. The goals of the policy: to create a more vital and inclusive community center by allowing valuable programs and services for the Canal neighborhood, work with the community to create a web of supporting programs that changes to meet the current needs and enrich Canal residents, and increase our ability to accomplish these goals by co-sponsoring programs. The co-sponsorship program overview. Nonprofit programs or nonprofit organizations can apply to the City and Pickleweed Advisory Committee for a reduction or full fee waiver of rental fees for the community center and park. Program supports organizations in providing timely programs for Canal residents while also saving the city the cost of providing the similar programs in-house. On average, the co-sponsorship program supports 10 to 15 organizations annually. In addition to the co-sponsored guidelines and the application process, the 2006 community use policy also contained information on general facility rental policies, fees, and processes. Catherine will now present the proposed changes to the community use policy.
Thanks, Steve. So as Steve just mentioned, I'm gonna kind of go over the high level, the big changes that staff are proposing for the community use policy. So the first thing that we did when we were looking over the policy is it really contains a lot of information that was duplicative to other kind of department-wide policies. So the co-sponsorship or the community use policy included a bunch of details on regular rentals, kind of not discounted, not co-sponsored, but just straight rentals for things like quinceañeras or weddings or other events like that. And as the commission knows, the city has recently developed a very robust policy for those sorts of events that's applicable to all of our community centers. So what we're recommending is that we kind of take out that content that's already included in these other policies and really focus this community use policy on the co-sponsorship program, which is kind of the foundation of community use in the center. We are also recommending that we add, so in the 2006 policy, it spells out kind of the top priority, second priority, third priority of use at the community center. And what we're recommending is that we include regional and local emergency use as the top priority. As we've seen over the past 2 to 3 years, the need for things like clean air centers, cooling centers, pandemic response testing, vaccinations, things like that has really, and charging centers for the PSPSs has really become a much greater need. And it's difficult to predict when those needs are going to arise. So, I think the staff always intend to try and work with any programs that are happening at the center to try to accommodate them. But we did want to include in this policy recognition of that growing need, and that in times of emergency, those activities are going to take priority for usage at the center. The third change is that historically, the Pickleweed Advisory Committee has avoided issuing co-sponsorship or approving co-sponsorship applications for the multi-purpose room on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Those are really big days for our large event rentals. Those large event rentals are really critical to the center's revenue generation and financial health. So traditionally, the Pickleweed Advisory Committee has not co-sponsored events on those days, and we are just recommending that this become formalized in the policy. It was kind of an unspoken policy, but now we're wanting to articulate it clearly within the document. The fourth change that we're proposing is to establish an annual waiver maximum. Currently, there is no maximum amount that can be waived through this co-sponsorship process. And just from a financial responsibility perspective, the city feels that there needs to be some sort of limit. We don't want to get ourselves into a situation where every room and every hour of the day is booked by free rentals. That would have a really detrimental effect on the sustainability of the center. So what staff did is staff looked at we didn't look at COVID year, but we looked at the 2 years prior to COVID to look at how much was typically waived. And in those 2 years, we waived about $120,000 to $130,000 worth of use. And staff felt that that's a sustainable amount. And in terms of both the amount of programming that's offered and the financial impact on the center. So we're recommending establishing a cap at $140,000. And one thing to note about that is that would be increased with any fee increases to the room. So it would be as the city increases our fees, that would go up proportionally. And the final change is to the actual process of the application process. So currently, co-sponsorship applications are accepted on a rolling basis. The organizations just have to apply, I believe it's 45 days in advance of their program. And what we're recommending is moving to a biannual co-sponsorship grant cycle. So there would be one application period for the school, kind of the school year programs, and another application period for the summer programs. What this will do is it will allow the Pickleweed Advisory Committee to have a more kind of comprehensive view of the programming that they're waiving. So they can really look at the kind of portfolio of co-sponsorships as a whole to identify, hey, look, this year we got a lot of proposals for art programs, but we didn't really get much in the way of, Spanish language. And we know that's a big need. So maybe we should be trying to reach out or trying to encourage this other kind of programming. So it's really to allow the Pickleweed Advisory Committee a way to kind of have a more robust evaluation process of the applications and really to look at the programming that's being offered at the center. And one thing I realized I forgot a slide here about what we've already done and what we will do next. But we did present this to the Pickleweed Advisory Committee last week. Whew, time is a blur these days. And they were very supportive of these recommendations. We actually presented them with a couple options for the application process, and they narrowed in on the biannual kind of frequency as what they thought would be best. And they were supportive of all of the other staff recommendations as well. So our next stop was to bring this to the Park and Rec Commission for your feedback and comments. And then with your approval, we would bring it to City Council for final approval, as they were the ones to approve the original policy. So I think that's about it. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you all for any questions or comments.
Yeah, commissioners, are there any questions in regards to this proposal?
I was curious, what are the co-sponsorship programs that are currently going? Like in the documentation I was reading, it said the after-school program, but that was it sounded like that used up about half of that funds. And so I'm curious as to what the other programs are.
Sure. Looking back at like 2018, we had tax aid, the Canal Welcome Center. Now it's the Multicultural Center of Marin, had a Canal Fight Night boxing and sports that PD helped support that program. We have Vision Imperative Marin, their Spanish support group for blind members of our community. Ball for All, free basketball camp for kids during the summer. Canal Alliance, quite a bit of our co-sponsorship is their ESL programs, which we've had in the morning and evenings at the center and are extremely popular. Drawbridge, art program for homeless children. Parent service projects, we co-sponsor their Apriendo Yundos program. It's a preschool program that kind of brings the community together. Parents get to meet each other. They learn about resources in San Rafael and the Canal area, and the children have a play group. Boy Scouts, we co-sponsor them. We've done some co-sponsorship of Bahia Vista, some ESL classes for their parents. In a nutshell, that's typically who come.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Well, and like we said, it builds the web. I mean, we offer programs ourselves in the community center, but there's no way we could do everything or be in tune with all the needs of the community.
Right.
If you have these different groups, we just bring them together and get a more cohesive net to capture all the needs.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Commissioners, are there any other questions or comments? Becky, is there anybody in the audience?
No, we don't have anyone in the audience.
Okay. All right. So I guess the motion, commissioners, is to accept the changes for the policy changes at the Albert J. Boyle Center. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll motion for that.
And may I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Kat. Or Ariel, go ahead.
Did we get a second? Okay, Ariel, okay. Oh, all right. Becky?
You
want-
choose, Chair, you choose.
Becky?
All right, we'll take a roll call here. Commissioner Cabrales,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Sorry, yes.
Commissioner Lauman. I got a
Yes.
thumbs up, thank you. Chair Machado,
Yes.
Commissioner Reisinger,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
Right, thank you. Motion's passed.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, much appreciated. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is selection of one commissioner to serve on the Park and Rec Master Plan Steering Committee and one commissioner to serve as the alternate.
That's correct. So this is your fourth item tonight, 4 out of 4. So we're getting through them all. So I appreciate your patience. I know it's been a pretty long agenda. So thank you. On last week, the City Council approved the formation of the steering committee. And so we're really excited to come to you first as the first board and commission to help select your representative to be on that steering committee and also to identify an alternate. We expect that the process will kick off, the public process will kick off in January and most likely will be around 6 or 7 meetings. Most likely now that we're kind of coming out of COVID, I'm assuming that they're going to be in person. But again, we will try to find and identify a time that works for all the representatives on the steering committee. There are 15. As the report indicates, there's several board and commission representatives, including the Library Board of Trustees and the Picklewood Advisory Committee. But also there's a lot of nonprofit organizations and services that are being also represented there. So we're very excited about this. And again, we are just looking for one of the commissioners to be the rep and one alternate. I would strongly suggest that both attend the meetings because when one isn't able to attend the meeting, that alternate will be well-versed in being able to kind of pick up and be able to respond to questions or provide feedback. It's a lot easier than somebody getting thrown in three meetings in and have no idea where they are in the process. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Any questions from the commissioners? Yes, Stacy.
Thank you. Can you just, so you said it will start in January and they'll be monthly, or what's the duration of the process?
It's a great question, Stacy. So currently where we're at, we're on a parallel path. So right now we've received 5 proposals and we have 2 commissioners that are reviewing that on behalf of the commission and the rest is comprised of staff. So we will select hopefully a agency to work with. We'll probably be going to City Council by September because we all have to work out the terms of agreement. Once that agency is hired, that firm is hired, often staff works with them for about 2 months, gathering a whole lot of data and documentation to make sure we have all the information that's necessary to the next steps. So if the steering committee does meet before the end of the year, it would be most likely be an orientation type of training meeting. After January, we really expect the community engagement component to start. And so what that will be comprised of is several public meetings, community-based meetings, focus group, interviews. In addition to that, there will be the steering committee meetings where all of that information is brought to the steering committee as we go through the process. It's very similar to the general plan, but just not as long. General plan so far has been 3 years. We expect this process from beginning to end to be about 12 months. And according to the proposals that we received, the timeline that was indicated by each of the firms was exactly that, 12 months from beginning to end. So most likely I see it starting in January, probably conclude if we push by June, and then it's refining of the document and then going forward to the City Council and possibly the Park and Rec Commission as a workshop, getting feedback and then coming back for approval.
Stacy.
And you said there's a commissioner or 2 that are already vetting potential.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Who is that?
Commissioner Sandoval and Commissioner Cabrales.
Thank
We came to the commission last meeting, I believe, and asked for 2 representatives to review the proposals. We're lucky, there were only 5 this time, unlike the library and community center that had 18. So it didn't take, hopefully it won't take as long.
Okay.
I have a comment, not a question. I would actually love to do something like that, but I think the time commitment might not be there for me right now. But so I just kind of wanted to say that. So whoever's left and interested, unless there's no one, in which case I'd be happy to step up.
Or can I put it out there that
Ariel?
Can I put it out there that Ariel, you become the lead for the Pickleweed Advisory Committee?
I could take that over.
You're very interested. I just am trying to balance driving back to Walnut Creek every day in life. Sorry, didn't mean to overstep boundaries on the meeting. I just thought I would throw it out there. It seemed like the right opportunity. And I know that Ariel sent me an email saying that she's very interested in continuing to be very active with the Pickleweed Advisory Committee.
And it's good to note that you bring that up because the Pickleweed Advisory Committee will also be able to designate an individual to be to represent on the steering committee. And we will be asking the Pickleweed Advisory Committee not to select a Park and Rec commissioner, just because we want to make sure that we do not have an overabundance of representation from one board or commission versus what was agreed upon. But this also doesn't preclude the commissioners from attending the community meetings. So don't think if you're not the representative, you can't attend things. You absolutely can.
Okay. So we're asking for 2 commissioners to step up. Robert and Kayla, are you wanting to be part of this portion as well? Yes.
Yes, I'm interested.
You are. Okay. And Commissioner Sandoval?
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Have you discussed at all which would like to be to serve as and then which one to be the alternate? Do you?
No, I
What do
think
we do here?
COVID got
Rock,
in it.
paper, scissors, or what? How does that work?
Well, it's I mean, you guys have a good working relationship here. So how should we handle this, Director? Can you throw some?
I'm going to leave it up to you. It's never good for staff to handpick anyone to represent. I think you have incredible commissioners on this call tonight. And so honestly, we'd be happy to have anyone. The fact that Commissioner Sandoval and Commissioner Cabrales would love to continue in some type of role is fantastic. So I will leave it up to you all to decide who's going to lead and who's going to be the alternate.
One of my questions would be when the timing of the meetings, like what that kind of helps, I think, decide in terms of.
So I think if we were still in the virtual world, and I can tell you there were agencies who did their park and recreation master plans during this past year and a half, which is amazing to me. But they actually got quite a bit of feedback. I think based on my prior experience in other agencies that did this, it's usually late afternoon, early evening that they target for everything. The meetings, the community meetings, because they want families to be able to participate. And if families are working and kids are in school, they try to pick a time that's optimal. So usually it's late afternoons, if not early evenings, and during the weekdays. They don't usually do weekends unless they really want to make sure that they get public feedback, and they might offer a community meeting on a weekend just to, try something different to elicit more feedback. And they try not to pick a Friday. I mean, there's certain things that go into it. Usually it's a Monday through Thursday. Usually it's late afternoon, early evening, with the idea that usually people kind of want to be done by 8 o'clock at night. So usually if it is in the evening, it's like 6 to 7:30 or 6:30 to 8. And I've seen afternoons, I've seen some cities do it in the afternoon from like 3:30 to 5. So it will all depend on that group. Not the agency that we hire, they get to do whatever we ask them to do. But it will really depend on what is the easiest for the steering committee to support. Most likely afternoons and early evenings.
Commissioner Cabrales, would you like to be the lead, or would you like to be the alternate?
I would be interested in the lead, but I understand that Commissioner Sandoval had expressed interest already earlier. So if you feel really strongly that you want to be the lead in this, then I would be the alternate as well.
Commissioner Sandoval, are you willing to take that lead position? Are you wanting to do that?
I mean, I would love to do it, but I feel the same way. I think, luckily, Kayla and I started at the same time. We're both eager to be involved. So it's hard for me to say, like, I'd be happy to be an alternate as well, like, to just be a part of the process.
You guys.
You guys have the tough decision, I guess.
After you.
Does anybody have a coin to toss? I mean, we are in Parks and Rec, so I just figured.
Well, we would do like a race, wouldn't we, or something like that? If we were a foot race or something. I don't have a coin here.
So the alternate position is the difference is you're saying both people go to the meetings, but then only one person gets the vote. Is that the only difference, or what's the difference between the two roles?
That is correct. That is correct. It's like when we had alternates on the commission, that the alternates often attended the meetings. They did not step into that voting role unless there was a vacancy. So I'm recommending that the alternate attend all or almost all meetings, because sometimes when the lead cannot be there, it puts that alternate in a precarious position, not being well versed as to what has gone along throughout the process.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think I have the time to go to those meetings, so I'm not sure what your schedule is looking like, Robert. I'm not, if you have more time in the afternoons, then we're at the same place we are now, but
Yeah. No, I'm not concerned about the timing either.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's make it easy, you guys. Yes, Commissioner Lauman.
Can I nominate Kayla?
You can nominate Kayla.
She just said she had the time, so that convinces me.
Is there a second for Commissioner Cabrales? Where is Ariel here? Ariel? Can I second that? I can second that. I will second that.
Well, I can second it too, or third it.
Okay. All right. So can we call the roll? Becky, please. For Commissioner Cabrales to be the lead.
Yes, we can. Commissioner Cabrales.
Do I vote on myself? Yes. Okay.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Yes.
Commissioner Lauman.
Aye.
Chair Machado.
Aye.
Commissioner Reisinger.
Aye.
And Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passed.
Okay, now if we can just get an
Congratulations,
alternate.
Commissioner Cabrales. Thank you very much, Commissioner Sandoval. You guys, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. You guys are good.
I think we need a motion for the alternate. I don't believe, unless I missed that, I apologize.
Oh, okay, no, I
Not a
just
motion.
it was just the two of them. So, okay. Stacy?
I move to nominate Commissioner Sandoval as the alternate.
Second, please. And Commissioner Reisinger mouthed she's the second. And so Becky, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Commissioner Cabrales.
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez actually just left the meeting a little bit ago. So she's no longer with us. Commissioner Lauman.
Aye.
Chair Machado.
Aye.
Commissioner Reisinger. Thank you. And Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes.
All right, so Commissioner Cabrales is the lead. Commissioner Sandoval is the alternate. Thank you very much. All right. I don't know. I wish it was we could give you a high five or something, or a hug or something like that.
September.
Very good. Okay. Other brief reports on meetings, conferences, seminars attended by commission members? Nada? All right. And then Director Susan, do you have scheduled for upcoming events, or do you have a report for us as well?
I do have a couple updates, and I'm going to let Catherine finish this off, but a couple updates for you. If you had the opportunity, I know a couple of you did attend the last city council meeting. It was, or it still is, July is National Park and Recreation Month. And so the city council gave a proclamation in our honor and observance. So that was very exciting. But we also had, let's hear it for us. Everything. It was very strategic, I might add, because guess what else was on the agenda? Passing the library and recreation fees. So now that everybody was basking in the afterglow of it's our month, we had the opportunity to present the library, recreation, and childcare fees to the city council for their review and consideration, and they passed them. So excellent job, everyone. I want to thank all of our staff, especially Catherine, for taking the lead for the city as well as this department. But I also want to thank you for all of your participation. As you know, we were meeting with the stakeholders, a variety of advisory groups, and you included. And we were fortunate enough that that process worked really well. So we were the first ones to cross the finish line, and we actually got a medal. So it's all good. So that happened, and then obviously they approved the formation of the steering committee. So it's a very exciting time. Lots of stuff is on the agenda, and I believe not this next meeting, but the following meeting, August 2nd, there are going to be some major revisions and recommendations to change the municipal code in relationship to the Park and Recreation chapter, and some expressive activities, as well as the special event permit process, which is done by PD. So there's a whole lot of areas in the municipal code that are going to be getting an update. So I will let you know when that meeting is going to be occurring, but it's a long time overdue. It hasn't been updated since 2002, when the department used to be referenced as community services. So that's it. I'll let Catherine give her update.
All right, thanks, Susan. I just have a couple of updates from our last Park and Rec Commission meeting. I know I sent out an email, but I did just want to reiterate that we have implemented the new scholarship program, and we did speak with the city attorney about the self-attestation process, which was recommended by Cicely, and they gave us the thumbs up, so we will be using that as well. So I wanted to circle back with this group on that, as I know there was interest in that here. I did also want to, we had talked about films in the parks, and I sent out a couple emails about it. It doesn't seem like there's a huge amount of interest among the commissioners for having a formal role, which is totally fine. This is completely optional. But I think it sounds like folks just want to attend as, their families, and so we will not be having that formal role for you all. If I misread that wrong, that's fine, just let me know, but just wanted to kind of circle back with this group on that. So if someone feels strongly that they still would like to do that, we can put together the talking points for you, but it didn't seem like there was a critical mass of folks interested in doing that. And then besides that, we are just in full swing with summer programming. We have camps, we've got the pools, we've got the fields, we've got our facility rentals. I think most of our facilities are booked. We got big events every Saturday for the rest of the year. So things have really been picking up. I think some of the constraints that we're having right now is getting the staffing levels to support this activity. As I think some of you may know, a lot, particularly our night and weekend activities, are supported by temporary staff, which we were not able to employ during the pandemic. So bringing those staff, some of them have been able to come back, which has been phenomenal, but a lot weren't. And so we're trying to rehire lifeguards, facility attendants, childcare instructors, front desk staff. And I think most people probably have heard on the news that this is a challenge for everyone nationally, and we are no different. So if you know of anybody who wants to be a lifeguard, particularly weekdays in the mornings, or a facility attendant, or a childcare instructor, please let us know. I see Kat's got experience with childcare instruction. So,
I'm trying really hard to keep my video on.
No, it's great. I love
For
it.
30 minutes, like, Mommy, come tuck me in. So I'm sorry.
So yeah, I think at this point that's the challenge, and we're working through it. We're trying to be creative and to use our resources as well as we can. But we're hopping. So things are busy.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for working so hard. I mean, it's, and I know in regards to the movies, it was, we all thought it was a great idea, and then you got crickets. Sorry. Thank you. Director Susan, is there anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. And it's amazing. We had a slow start tonight, but we got through 4 items really quickly. And I just want to thank all of you for doing that. And obviously there's a lot of homework, and you guys read all the reports ahead of time to be prepared. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I will adjourn this meeting at 7:35. Thanks everybody for being here.
Bye, you guys. Have a good night. See you in
Thanks.
September.
Everyone.
See you all in
Good night.
September.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Night.
So you just did the meeting?